Finance solver on the TI-nspire CAS calculators. The first thing to know is what your screen looks like and how to get there. This thing up the top, if you need to find it, you need to be in a calculator page, menu 8, finance solver, and you'll end up with a screen looking like this. A few things that are important to know what they mean. Now you can screenshot this and put in your notes if you need to. Number of time periods is your compound periods times your years. So if it's compounded 12 times per year for 10 years, you will do 12 times 10. And if you press Enter or Tab, it will change it to 120, or you can put in 120 from the start. Your interest rate in Finance Solver is always per annum. You don't have to divide that per month. It always goes in as per annum. PV, principal value, starting value. Anytime you're using Finance Solver, if you are giving money away or putting money into a bank, any way that the money is going away from you, it will be negative. So for these examples, they are negative, but if you take out a loan, the money comes to you, and in that case, it will be positive. PMT is your regular repayments. For these examples, we're not going to worry about these, but if you're putting extra money into an account or drawing money out of an account or paying off a loan, then this will worry you. Future value or final value is the end value. So this will be positive if you've put money into an investment, because then you can draw all that money out and it comes back to you as a positive. PPY and CPY are payment periods per year and compound periods per year. So earlier we said if it's compounded monthly for 10 years, it's compounded 12 times per year. These two things will be 12. If you change this to 12, CPY will automatically change with it. So all we're going to do is answer a few of these from examples. So our first one, $20,000, and it's invested in a savings account at 2.8% per annum compounded annually. What's its value after 10 years? Biggest hint is write down the letters as they look on Financial Solver on your CAS calculator to start with, and you end up with all of these things. We then plug in what we need to know. So N is our number of compound periods. It's 10 years, and it's annually. So you can write 10 times 1, but we don't necessarily need the times 1. We've got 10 compound periods. Interest rate is in years, so it's 2.8%, and that's where it stays. Principal value, we are putting $20,000 into an account, so it's going away from us, so negative 20,000. Regular repayments, there's no extra money going in or coming out, so it's 0. Final value, we want to know what it's going to be worth. That's what we don't know yet, so that's a question mark. Compound periods per year and payment periods per year are both 1. We're now going to put them numbers into your calculator. So on the home page of your calculator, we need to open up a calculator page simply down here. Don't use this thing up here, always use the square down here. You end up with a calculator page being open. If we need Finance Solver, menu, either 8 or Finance, and then 1 and Finance Solver, and you'll end up with the screen which we showed you before. So the numbers from our previous page, N was equal to 10. Use your tab button over here to go through. Don't press enter. If you press enter, it's going to calculate the square you're in, dependent on what you have for everything else. So press tab. 2.8 was the interest rate. Principal value, negative $20,000. PMT is going to stay 0. Future value is what we don't know, so we'll leave it for a minute. Payment periods per year is 1, and compound periods per year is 1. The thing we didn't know was the future value, so we have to go back to that square, press enter, you press enter, and it will give you the number that you need. So in this case, $26,360.96, rounded off to 2 decimal places. So I've put the answer in of $26,360.96. Also done the second one. The trick to this second one, it's compounded monthly for 10 years. So my number of compound periods is my 10 years times 12 per year to give me 120 compound periods. Always a good thing with financial, does your answer make sense? The answer I got for compounded monthly is slightly bigger than the answer I got for compounded annually, which is what it should be. The more often something is compounded, you're going to get slightly more interest. So therefore your answer should be slightly bigger. Next 2 questions are there. If you would like to have a go at those, I'll put the answers up in a moment. So the workings that I put into the calculator and the answer to these 2 questions are now displayed. In my first one, I've got N equals 14.998, so rounded off, that is pretty close to 15. Got to ask yourself, 15 what though? My number of compound periods was annually. We got 1 compound period per year, so it's 15 years. That one is not too bad. This particular one down here, though, where my compound period was monthly, makes things a little bit more difficult. This thing still rounded off is 160, but it's 160 months. And that's perfectly fine if you want your answer in months. It gets a bit more difficult if we need it in months and years, though. So what we're going to do first is take this 160 and we're going to work out how many years that is. To work out how many years that is, I'm going to divide that by the 12 months in a year, and I end up with 13.33. What I'm now going to do is show you where to go from for this on the calculator. So on the calculator, I had 160 and I divided that by 12 to get it into years. Gives me the 13.33 that I had on the other page. Now I'm going to take away the whole number because that's how many years there are. So I'm going to take away 13 and I end up with 0.33 of a year. I want to know how much of a year this is, so I'm going to also times this by 12, which again was the number of months in a year. So we times that by 12 and we end up with 4. So we know in total it's going to take the 13 months from up here, the 13 years from up here, and it's also going to take the 4 months from there. So just writing that into my workings, I would take away the 13, which is the whole number of years, which gives me 0.333, and I would times that by the number of months in a year, which was 12, which gives me 4. So my final answer I would write out as 13 years, 4 months. Good idea to make it stand out, highlight it, circle it, do something. Your examiners will look for the answer and not necessarily look at everything else if it's right. The next two questions are also there if you'd like to pause it and have a go at them. And again, I'll put the answers up in a moment. And the workings to put in your calculators as well as the answer received should now be displayed. Be wary with this last one that your answer on the CAS calculator would have said negative $93,480.40 because that's money that you have to put in, that's money you have to invest, it's money that has to go away from you. So it would have said negative on the calculator, but your answer has to be positive and with your dollar sign. Next two questions are here now as well. We'll get into the first one pretty quickly and then we'll do the last one on the CAS. So $20,000 is invested in a savings account paying 2.8% per annum simple interest. This simple interest, real big issue. Financial Solver only works for compound interest. So this one you would have to use the formula, you would have to do it by hand. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to leave that blank and say we can't do it with compound interest. Last one, how long would an investment of $30,000 need to be invested in an account paying 2.49% per annum compounded weekly in order to make $5,000 in interest? We'll do this one completely as it is the last one. Write out the letters, write out what we need to know. So how long would it take? N is what we don't know. Interest rate is 2.49%. So 2.49%. Principal value, investment of 30,000 is what goes in. So that goes away from me or away from the person. Negative $30,000. PMT, no regular repayments. Final value, we need to make $5,000 in interest. This is where understanding the question is important. We put $30,000 in and we need to make $5,000 in interest. So we need the final value or future value to be $35,000. Has to be the money you invested plus the $5,000 in interest, and it's compounded weekly. So we've got 52 and 52. We're going to plug this into a calculator. So I've put the numbers in their place, remembering to use tab to go between the squares and then go to the one that I want to find and press enter. So I want to find the number of compound periods. I go to this, I press enter. 321.998, so basically 322 compound periods is how long this will take. That takes 322 weeks. So again, what we need to do with this 322 weeks is we need to work out how many years that is, if that's what the question asks for. So as there's 52 weeks in a year, we're going to divide this by 52. I'm going to go back to a calculator for these steps. We've got 322 weeks. We're going to divide that by 52 to find out the number of years. Gives us 6.19 years. I'm going to take away the 6 years from the front because that's my whole number of years. So take away 6, leaves me with 0.1923. I want to find out how many weeks that is, so I'm going to times that by the 52 weeks that are in a year. It tells me it should be 10 weeks. So just writing that into my workings, 6.19. I'm then going to take away the 6 to get rid of the whole number off the front, which gives me 0.19. And that 0.19 I'm going to times by the 52 weeks in a year, which gave me 10. Preferably using all the decimal places on the calculator to give you a more precise answer. If you just use the decimal place, this will still need rounding off. So my final answer was it will take 6 years, 10 weeks.